He was stationed on a supply train that got robbed last night. Only one type of creature I know that could fly him up there.
You think a pix did this?
Who else?
I love the first season of this show, but this season blows it out of the water. It's massive, it's epic, and I honestly was not prepared for where it was going to go.
Yeah.
How involved were you in kind of crafting the direction of where Vignette ends up at the end of this season?
This is the ending I wanted for Vignette for sure. I think it was really important to have a say, especially, you know, I get the title of executive producer. I think I had that kind of, I felt more validated to be able to say the ideas that I had. And I think, yeah, what you said, epic is an understatement. It really takes this whole world to another level in terms of the conflict, in terms of the darkness and the grittiness. But it's a surprise. It's a shock. I think people won't expect what they see. So that's really exciting.
It's nice to see you again, Inspector.
So this show was a big fan of the first season, and now this season, it is massive. Like the scale, everything is bigger. It's gigantic. Like for you, what was the biggest difference between season 1 and season 2?
You know, since we shut down for COVID, we really had a chance to go back and look at all the material we'd already shot for season 2. And knowing that we were going to be shut down, go in and really blow it out for season 2 and make it a finale. You know, there was no original material, so it was like this show was going to go as long as the material was kind of there. And what Eric Olson ultimately did was like put a button on the whole thing that made it just like epic. And I love the idea that we bring that home and leave people wanting more rather than trying to wring out like some ideas and have it extend on. But you know, Philo is now, it was so fun to play because I got to like have this internal journey as well as this external journey. And you see in the 6th episode, we kind of physicalize this internal shadow self of the character, which I kind of played with this idea of, you know, like, you know, you think about the Batman and the Joker or whatever, I keep referencing that because it was just like, well, it's not, I'm playing the Joker, but I'm this idea of a character that's really kind of twisted, is that's his inner voice that's affecting him. And the show's idea is it's not who you are, but what you do, you know, and Philo's always trying to do the right thing. But he's being pulled back into the Burg by the police because they need his help, but he's trying to do the right thing by the Fae, and he's got a messy life and a messy relationship just that's true to life, you know, whilst being a fantasy and a really cool commentary on social, you know, justices and injustices that we see. So it's really interesting how we got to play it all out.
It's your decision.
The world's falling apart and we can't just sit at home and do nothing.
What have you got in mind?
And I think that there's always been that obviously fairy tale and romantic aspect to this story, but it really does not go where you think it's going to go. And, you know, characters come apart and come together in ways that are really refreshing and exciting to see. Do you feel like this was an ending of the story, or is this just the ending of a chapter for these characters?
I think a lot of the times in storytelling, it follows the same narrative. And I think with Carnival Row, it does not use any rules that have been done before. Exactly what you said, it kind of twists the conventional idea of storytelling. I think the way that it ends, it's kind of, the point is how it ends is it brings so much wonder to what's going to happen. But I don't know, I'd always be open to seeing the characters, but it wouldn't make sense. I think a lot of TV shows, they stretch out seasons, but it becomes monotonous and boring. And I think this show does it exactly right by ending it where it does.
And for you, for your character, for your performance, what was the biggest challenge for you this season?
COVID. Honestly, I love the challenges that come with playing Vignette. I love the stunts. I even love the wire work. It does get hard, but the character in itself is just such a dream. I loved fantasy when I was a kid, and to be a fairy is the coolest thing in the world. So honestly, it was just stopping, which was the challenge for me.
And you've played so many characters that I've loved in your career, but this character, like, it's just there, you feel the heartbreak, you feel the intensity in all of these scenes. And, you know, the relationship that Vignette and Philo have, it's beyond what you would expect from the pairing in season 1. Like, it develops in a new direction. Did you and Orlando work a lot with that?
Yeah, we did. I think again, we didn't want it to be this traditional love story, because it's not, and life isn't like that. It portrays something more honest and real. Yeah, I think we both had a real hand in navigating where that was. And I think for season 2, it just didn't make sense to kind of follow the same path as season 1.
Well, it's phenomenal. I absolutely loved this season. It blew away all of my expectations. You are amazing, and I can't wait for everybody to check it out.
Thank you so much. Me too. I can't wait. I'm very, very grateful for fans, and I know they will not be disappointed. So.
Absolutely not. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I thought if we were peaceful, they'd show us mercy.
Heart filled with malice.
But now we know the truth. If they shoot at us, nail our heads against a wall, they will pay for it in their own blood.
If you go after them, they'll come for all of us. The whole row will burn.
And there's a romantic element to the story, and there's the fairy tale aspect of it, but it doesn't end in any way that I was prepared for. So like you said, it doesn't shut the door, but it's almost like it ends a chapter. That ending is very satisfying. Did it feel satisfying to reach the conclusion of this story for you?
Oh yeah, and thanks for saying that. It did, absolutely. You know, I mean, the end. A lot of it was that Eric was very collaborative with the actors, and I think that Cara had really great ideas for how she saw Vignette coming to a character's journey, and that in turn impacted the way that, you know, it affected Philo, and also the way that all of the characters. And so every character got this really beautiful arc. And like I said, Eric was very interested in making sure people kind of had their characters kind of journeys kind of well sewn up. And it was, I just loved it. I loved how it impacted Philo's ultimate, you know, because it's true to life. And, you know, for somebody who's walked and lived with this shameful secret at times, and still trying to do the right thing, it felt so real. And that, whilst being in this fantasy world, was so important.
I think you nailed it right there. It's fantasy, it's adventure, it's action, it's romance, it's all of these things, but it's very real in the end. And I think that, you know, I love the ending of it. Your character, you're phenomenal in it. Can't wait for everybody to check it out. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks, man. Really appreciate you. Thank you.
Thanks.